we need to get the container that has that 8-ball message. So we saw that it had an ID of 8. So the same way in line 40, we got the element by getting the ID of button, we're going to do the same thing, but with the ID of literally the word 8. So let's create that. I'm going to create a new variable. That variable name, I'm going to decide it is going to be called 8EL, 8 element, right? So E-I-G-H-T, capital E-L. Why capital E and L? That's just a note for myself so that it is, the EL is short for element, as an HTML element, right? So that, and then I'm going to use that same pattern that I saw on line 40. So it's going to be document dot get element by ID, and then instead of the word button, I'm going to have the word 8, and then semicolon, right? Why 8 again? 8 because our ID was 8. Awesome. Okay, so we now have the selector. We now selected that HTML element. Now what we need to do is that we need to clear that text, right? So one of the ways we can do that, and there's a whole bunch of ways we can do that. There's a bunch of methods. So the way I am going to do this is with this function, with this property called text content. So let's just do this. 8 EL dot text content equals quote, quote. This quote, quote is an empty string. So this is just saying, hey, get this HTML element, whatever text is inside, let's clear it, all right? Now let's just see if this works. So I am going to go, I'm going to click on my shake button, right? Hey, check that out. It went away, right? And just to make sure it's doing what we think it's doing, right? If I say like, ooh, there you go. So what it's doing is it's trying to replace this text content thing. Basically, whatever you set it to, it will fill that in as if we were typing it in by hand, right? In this case, it says woo. We don't want it to say woo. We actually just want to clear that image because we're going to do some smoke and mirrors to have that fortune appear instead. So back to an empty string it goes. So let me just run that. Just make sure that works. Shake. And there it is. Okay. Next up, we've got that original div with the 8. Now we want to get our 8-ball message. This answer thing, line 22, right? And it has an ID of answer, right? So we're going to do the same thing, right? So we will go and set that. So let's call it, I mean,